The Capricorn New Moon is the first new moon of the calendar year and greets us just over a week after Mercury stations direct. Rather than being a stern, restrictive, demanding new moon we so often hear about when it comes to discussions of Capricorn, this little moment offers out a hand to help us dream in new ways that honor who we are. To remember how to dream, how to pay attention, and how to lift our eyes from the same worries and fears and open our hearts to the unimaginable horizon ahead. As Mars and the new moon work their magic in Capricorn, they are in conversation with Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, creating a magical, honest trine. How do you really want to use your energy in this life? What does a meaningful, mundane day look like? And am I honoring myself and my truest dreams as I am moving through my day? This moon offers a moment of deep listening and grace, if we only open enough to hear it. Hello, my beautiful friends, my fellow space blobs, earth blobs, sparkly blobs, or whatever poetic form is feeling truest to you. I am here for all of it. And I am so happy that you are here for this conversation and that we can just share a moment to reflect on this first new moon of 2024 and create a really soft, beautiful moment for the beginning of this year. I know for me, January is a very tender month, and especially this last year has been really intense for me. Behind the scenes, I've been moving through a lot and having a lot of deep emotional reflection and doing a lot of healing. And it's just been a very intense year. So I'm feeling pretty tender as we move into January this year. And I think this new moon is so present for those of us who need a little bit of vision, a little bit of safety, a little bit of a sense that it's going to be okay and that there's so much more to come. That is really the spirit of this Capricorn new moon, and I think so many of us need that right now. The world's a pretty intense place. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of unanswerable questions, and we need these little moments of landing and connection and safety in order to keep living life, I think. And that's what this new moon is all about. So let's talk about it and get into the details. This is our first new moon of 2024. Like I mentioned, it's on January 11th. It's also the first full or new moon after Mercury stations direct a little while before this. And so I love that because for me, Mercury retrograde is always this wonderful time of kind of combing over who we are, how we've changed, what we're becoming. And coming into this new moon, we can take that wisdom and really sit with some of our knowing. So I think that's going to be a really profound moment. Of course, this is a very earthy new moon. We know that, having the sun and moon conjunct in Capricorn. But there's this huge conversation going on with energy in Capricorn and energy in Taurus. And I love that we're really getting an amplification of kind of reaching into our roots and feeling that earthy support, because we have sun and moon trining Uranus in Taurus. And then we also have Mars in Capricorn trining Jupiter in Taurus. So we've got the earth elements lit up here during this new moon in a very harmonious conversation. And that's where that beautiful grace and softness and warmth and sense of safety is coming in, I think. So with that kind of Taurus Capricorn energy, there's an overall sense during this new moon that we'll be getting really honest with ourselves, with how we want to use our energy this year, what really feels true to us. And that can maybe be a little intimidating, but I also think it can be a relief to acknowledge just where we are and working with the materials that are here with us now, rather than feeling like we have to pursue that ideal self. This trine really helps us see the beauty with what we're working with right here in this moment, and also what we actually mean when we say we have a goal or a vision. Helps us get more in touch with what is truly our goals and visions and how we want to use our life force energy the rest of this year. So it's a really great check-in point. Now, more specifically, this new moon trining Uranus. What a conversation. What a powerful way to begin 2024. I think when we think of earthy wisdom, we sometimes think about just the practical side of it. and that it's about kind of stripping back and getting simple and focused. But I actually think, earth wisdom has a lot to do with abundance, because nature and our connection to it, there's so much going on there. There's just millions and billions of seeds and cells and conversations going on, so much more than our intellectual mind could ever, wrap itself around. And sometimes earth energy is reminding us that there's so much beyond our intellectual ability to perceive, and that some of those elements that we can't quite see yet are coming in. And that's where this concept of the unimaginable horizon comes in for me during this new moon. If you've been with me for a little while, I've talked about this over the years pretty consistently. And this new moon really for me is all about that unimaginable horizon, which is really that concept of, you're sitting here now, sitting with me. You might not know what the year is going to have in store. Maybe you're hoping for a new relationship or a job or a resolution to an impossible question. And you just don't know how it's going to look. You'd love to know, but you just don't. And there are so many elements: friendships, connections, conversations, realizations, a walk down a street that brings you across the path of a studio that you want to go visit, whatever it may be. There's so many of those elements coming in that we cannot conceive of sitting here. And that's what this new moon is really bringing up. It's a reminder that whatever we think are the finite ingredients of the makeup of whatever it is that we're trying to do right here in this moment with all our goal setting and who we think we need to be, there is also the unimaginable horizon at play here. So I think it's a really beautiful time to just give yourself some space to feel that, feel the presence of that in your life, and knowing that there is so much more in store for you. So feeling the hope and beauty of that. I think it's so important to take moments to give ourselves that permission to feel hope and beauty, and to feel that it's possible for there to be beautiful solutions to things that maybe feel like, how is this going to work out, if you're sitting in the mystery like I am. It's also a reminder to take care of ourselves in the process of change. This new moon reminds us that however much it might feel like, well, when I get to the end of my metamorphosis and I know who I am, then I'll take better care of myself. This new moon is a reminder, there's that earthy wisdom again, that it's valid to care for yourself and your nervous system right now and take it a little bit easier. And I had a few questions to go along with this central theme of the new moon trining Uranus. What elements of my journey can I take a break from staring at so intently? Can I make space within? Can I change the questions I'm asking? So here I'm just helping us maybe think about ways we can loosen our grip on things we feel like we have to sort out, and just make a little bit of spaciousness during this new moon. How can I invite an openness about possibility into my body and into my mind at this time? And how can I take care of myself right now, so that I have the energy to begin new things? I think that Capricorn, it's a really important season to think about the ways you need support and help, because Capricorn's often associated with individuality and forging forward and pushing forward and knowing your own power to make things happen. But because that's so much of a cultural thing in this world, it's very important that we also understand it's okay to have support. It's okay to have softness. It's okay to release some of our grip on that kind of forward focused energetic. This is all about creating a little bit of space. New moons are soft. They're about connecting in with our dreaming self, regardless of what sign they are in. And this one just happens to be one that is trying to help us see beyond the limited scope of our vision sometimes when we're really focused, and kind of allow for new elements to show up. And then I just wanted to touch on really briefly the Mars and Capricorn trining Jupiter conversation, because that is going on at the same time and really mirroring some of the conversation going on with the new moon. And this is such a playful energy. I love this energy because this is about, taking a whole bunch of sticky notes and writing out a whole bunch of ideas and just having fun with it, not with the intention of knowing how it's going to work out or knowing that it's going to be successful or knowing that you're going to have it all sorted, but the fun of playing with ideas, the fun of daydreaming, the fun of envisioning, the fun of thinking about what actually feels good when I think about using my life force energy. What feels so fun? What feels like it doesn't require me to make my way through things that just feel horrible? What just feels fun and exciting? And can I spend a little bit of time prototyping, playing with it, enjoying, daydreaming about what a mundane day looks like that involves my true spirit? It's just a very warm and welcoming energetic, this entire new moon. And I love that. There's so much grace here. There's so much, for me, Capricorn energy really also embraces this idea of having a really strong sense of inner parenting, of love, of safety, of belonging in the universe that is so powerful. So many of us need that when we're feeling alone and are questioning. And that energy is very strong as well during this new moon. Let's see what few cards want to come out. I guess I'll pull, we'll see, 2 to 3. I just want to see how I'm feeling. We're going with the classic deck today. Just keeping it simple. I'm trying to keep my process simple where I can right now because I'm just having some energy issues and just needing to be softer to myself at this moment and not try and forge forward to dominate the world and be everything to everyone, and just keep it soft and simple. Ace of Swords. This has been such a strong energy in readings recently. It's really interesting. There's a clarity of sight, and I think that 2024 in general is going to have this kind of knowing energy that honestly was a little bit hard to access in the last couple of years. That really strong, crystal clear knowing. The Sun. Oh my goodness. This card has also been really strong. That's a reminder to play. A reminder to be in that play mode. And Judgment. Of course, I mean, we have to have a little bit of emotional release here, right? This is such a fun combo of 3 cards. They all are so much about seeing clearly, coming out of some of, our worried thoughts and our fear thoughts and maybe haunted houses and all of that, and like being able to see the elements around us. And I think that's a really important part of this new moon. So let's talk through these. Ace of Swords, our dear friend, the clarifier. When this card shows up for me, it's like, oh, yes, I see the way. It may involve some scary choices. It may involve some tricky questions that I have to ask, but I know where I'm going. And I know why it matters to me and why it's important. It's a very breakthrough energy after a time of maybe not knowing, after a longer process, which is so important, those longer processes. Whenever I see an ace, I always remember that there was a whole process to bring us back around to the number 1 again. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It's coming from a process that has begun before. And I think this new moon is really acknowledging that we've all been through a process. It's not just arbitrary where we are right now. We've moved through so much this last year, these last few years. And right now we're learning to see and understand ourselves with the knowledge from this process with us as we move through. Now, I really love that the Sun came out in the center of this reading, because I think a lot of times in our conversations, we're talking about deep stuff. We're talking about, healing and haunted houses and how to be here in the world and the mystery and the things that are challenging about life. It's so important. I love to be in that space and to explore. It's my favorite thing to share in that with others. But the Sun always is this reminder that just play and reveling in what brings us joy is really valid and important, and plays a really important role in everything. So it goes back to that Mars and Jupiter trine. It goes back to that playful prototyping energy. Give yourself some space to play. You won't miss out. You won't be irresponsible. You won't miss your chance to be spiritual or knowing about your life. It's just a reminder of that gentle warmth. Now, Judgment, I haven't seen for a little while in readings and in my work. And I think it's this is one of my favorite energies to work with, honestly, because it's very healing. And it kind of reminds me of the fact we just moved through a Mercury retrograde. We're coming to the end of Pluto and Capricorn for at least a little while here this year, later in January. And there is kind of a reckoning here. The thing with Judgment is that we are seeing our past, all that we've moved through, all the generations before us, anything we may have carried with us through this last year. or beyond through this life. We're seeing it and we're releasing, we're understanding and forgiving ourselves and others. And that's not to be literal. Maybe you are feeling forgiveness and you want to forgive everybody and do all of that. That's great if that's coming up for you this new moon. But I think for me, judgment is about seeing what we're carrying secretly and finding a way to honor and release it so that it's not something that we feel we have to carry in order to be a good person, in order to move through the world. So there is an element here in this reading of this being a time of deep catharsis and healing and understanding and seeing ourselves with fresh sight, not just from the baggage of the past, not just from all the old ways of seeing ourselves in the world, but from starting to engage with the possibility that we could see ourselves in new ways. And I think that's so beautiful. I'm going to be doing a little visualization for this Capricorn New Moon over on my Patreon, which I would love to see you there. It is really the tenderest space that I have been working with for the last several years, and it really has been such a special place. So I love to do a visualization and ask some questions and create just a really soft landing place to create a little ritual. So I'd love to see you there for that. That's for everybody in the $5 tier and up to enjoy. If you come over my way, I'd love to see you there. And you can binge watch all of Gentle New Year if you are looking for some loving support. It is going to be wrapped up. The final session's coming out on January 10th, but it's 4 beautiful sessions helping to just carry us through this season as we move through in January and into some new energetics. So I'd love to see you there for that. You can also find me on my website and on my Instagram. I am really looking forward to coming back into this new year with more of my fire and joy, and to continue creating on this journey in a way that feels really true to who I am now. And maybe this new moon will be a really helpful space to do that in, but I would love to see you in all those spaces. I love it when I see you here, when you comment, when you interact. It makes it so that my work is visible to others. It's a hard space to work in right now. And sometimes it feels a little bit like, does my work actually go out into the world? I'm so appreciative for those of you who are always here with me. You mean so much to me. But I do sometimes love to think of maybe being able to reach out to more people again at some point and feel that joy. But we'll see. We'll see what this new year brings. I love having you here. So I will see you again so soon for our next moon video for our next season, preparing for Aquarius season and all the goodness ahead. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a beautiful new moon in Capricorn.